Good morning. It's a beautiful day out this morning before it gets too hot. I don't have the little fuzzy thing on my mic, so hopefully the wind noise is not too much. We're going to do a walkabout the garden tour thing this morning. Since the last garden tour, I did get to weed this bed. This is the one beside the driveway. See, these strawberry plants are growing nicely. I got a few handfuls of strawberries, but they're knocked off now because the weather was hot and they don't flower in hot weather. But when the weather cools down again, latter half of August, or maybe even 1st of September anyway, when it gets a little cooler, they'll start to flower and produce fruit again. I haven't made a place to separate the peppers by variety, so I won't be saving any peppers, any pepper seed from these. Oh, it's getting a little windy. I really hope it's not too bad. All my paprika peppers, they're coming right along. Now, as I said before, these peppers, these plants, they dry out oh so quickly. Okay, so that one's still moist. I watered that yesterday, or the night, Saturday night, and then Sunday morning. I watered it both times. Now, these, I have the mulch put in, and that has a lot of moisture in it still. So, now today I've got to finish. I have 3 here that doesn't have mulch in them. And I have to, my first stretch with the lawnmower, I'll mulch these. This one is growing up and falling over. I have to adjust the stake to hold it up. And as well as that one. Grapevine is going gangbusters. Look at that behemoth of a thing. I already actually cut this back out of the pathway once with the edge trimmer, which I would do again today. But look at how much it has grown, eh? The sun hasn't gotten around here yet. This is the brand new wine. Tomatoes. Quite a few flowers. I haven't noticed any fruit set yet. There's a lot of weeds in here because I'm planning on doing a different mulching thing with these than I'm doing with the regular annual beds. So it's even worse down here with respect to weeds, but that's okay. Supposed to be dry the next few days, so we'll talk about that when I do a video on mulching the tomatoes. But we got tomatoes setting fruit, of course, getting really big. I'm going to have to, I was going to bring out some straps to tie this one up. You see how the weight of that bunch of tomatoes is kind of really dragging that down. I'm afraid it's going to break. There's still some potatoes in this that's coming up from compost that I put in there last year. But the tomato plants themselves are doing really well. And there was, it's this one here. looks similar to borage, but a little lighter leaves than I'm used to. And the rest are just your normal weeds that grow here. The center portion has done well. So that's the eggplant, and the one I put outside right there. They seem to have taken just well, and no transplant shock at all. Outside there is a echinacea that's about ready to flower. The roses are starting to fade here now. And down here, this is, can't remember the name of this cucumber now, but it's growing well. It hasn't set fruit yet, but as you can see, there's lots of flowers. And then there's the last eggplant right there. This is your Greek oregano, about ready to go to flower. And so they're not very big now. I haven't gotten Aunt Molly's ground cherry to grow, so I don't really know how big they're supposed to grow. But they are flowering. Now this one was open yesterday. It might open again, because it doesn't look like it's fading. It might open again when the sun gets on it. So this plant is flowering. I haven't noticed any on the others yet, but I assume that very soon they will flower. And this, this one has a cucumber starting. So this is the first, it looks like it has been well pollinated. This female flower here. The plant is not growing as well as the other one over there, but when it gets up into the sun, I assume that it will take right off. One lonely pea plant here. It's got a lonely pea pod. Now this is snow peas, so he won't get much bigger than that before he's ready to be picked anyway. And of course, there's the other eggplant, Aunt Molly's ground cherry. I haven't planted anything along here. I did pull up the bigger weeds, and I should do some mowing to put a good layer of grass clippings or meadow clippings along here. They're getting themselves established, the grapevines are. This one is actually already established, and it's just, well, not growing as much as the ones up by the house, but it is growing really well. And the grapes are coming along. Last year we got a few small grapes, and we'll see now what we get this year out of them. Right now, let's see, I'll move in closer because I guess if the sun was shining directly on that, you'd be able to see better. But that mass of flowers from the St. John's wort underneath the red maple is looking quite nice. And when that lovage gets a little more established, that'll be a nice plant there as well. There's one lonely mallow coming up in between the St. John's wort, and I wonder if I should let the occasional mallow grow here. It'd be one of those flowers that I would weed out. They grow as single flowers, right? So they are not hard to take out. So you don't have to worry about, oh, there's a mallow and it's going to take over. No, you don't have to worry about that. I did mow up around here a little bit so that I could see in right there, and going close to that other plant, then I'm waiting to see what it is. Sorry about the shadow, but two things. Let's see if I can get my shadow out of it. You see the yellow leaves on the Romeo cherry, and some of them have fallen. I don't think it likes the heat, and we are getting above 30. It has dropped every one of the cherries, so we won't be getting cherries this year. This thing is growing like nuts as well now for this year. I guess you can call that a smoky look. The faded flowers that's all over it now. Juliet gets less sun, so she doesn't seem to have any effect of the heat. And I wouldn't expect the pears to be affected by the heat anyway. Beautiful large maple, eh? So as I said, I did get around to weeding these, so I can show you how well the yellow campaign is growing there now. Four nice plants. Coming over here, kind of watered a couple of things, so you can't really see as well now. But right here, and this depression right here, moose, hoof prints. And I'll mention it again a little later. But right now, just want to show that, yes, the California poppy is coming along quite well. Right here, that's chamomile. There's some of them are coming along more than others, but there's not very many chamomile growing in this bed. This is exciting. We're in the shade because it's still early morning, right? But the Jerusalem artichoke are at the height that I would expect them to be. The one that I put here, that I said wasn't going to come to anything, it started to grow, but it was just too late. It got slugged. So a slug come along and eat that. But the cucumber vine, it's growing excellent. And as you can see, that's my biggest cucumber. That was the first one that was set there. But now there's a couple more growing over here. You see there's one right there, and there's one in there. I think there's another one there somewhere. Actually, oh, that's a slug. Another one right here. No, that's one too. So there's three growing on that one. There's another couple in there. So the cucumbers are setting on these. That's what was the name of this one? Was this Queenland Blue, I think? Pumpkin that I up there in the last video, but this was one that was growing earlier. And let's see if I can get a better look on this, because I thought there was a female flower. Yeah, right here. So that's our first female flower. Actually a little early. I wouldn't expect the female flowers on a normal year to be out for another week. So I have a couple of different squash plants that the female flowers are coming out a little early. Of course, I don't know what the conditions are necessary for getting these to be pollinated and to grow fruit. This is the second year now that we've had flowers on these, but no sign of fruit set. So we just wait a few years and see what happens. That's the Myroblend cherry plum. Oh, so the tent caterpillars have arrived. This is the first sign of them. And the currants are pretty much ready to be picked on this white currant bush. Got to come out and pick some berries. They're going too far. Well, now this is the wild red raspberry. They're getting ripe. You see, there's two varieties of mallow, and I think it's the high mallow and the mountain mallow. This white one would be the high mallow, and that pink one would be the mountain mallow, I think. And look what I just seen. That's another one of the kiwi. So I've got to take him and move him over with the other two. But I won't bother to put that on video. You see me move the first two. I'm just going to take that one and move him over with the other two. Red mulberry is still doing beautiful. I think I want to get one of each variety and plant down here. Just along the hedge, right? So if I got the red one growing there, if I can get a Russian one growing over there. So there's red, Russian, white, and I think there's a fourth variety, but I can't remember what it is. I'm thinking I planted this one a little too high. It's out of the water zone. It's a gooseberry, so they like really moist, constantly moist soil. I should have planted it, I think, down in where I got that patch of long grass right there, and it would have done perfectly fine. It's still small, so I should be able to dig it up and move it, eh? So I'll mow that patch and then move that gooseberry down into this here area right here, I think. This cherry tree hasn't dropped its cherry yet. Oh, there he is, still hanging in there. We've got a few tent caterpillars. Now, tent caterpillars don't really do much damage. They do defoliate the tree somewhat, but unless you've got a real infestation, they don't. They won't kill your tree. See, this one is growing really well. I've seen another one that I thought might be a cherry tree here somewhere. I picked the red currants and got them eat already. That's going to come on an harvest video. As far as the black currants go, they're still hard. You give them a little squeeze, and if they're spongy, then they're ready to be picked. Don't know what's happening with that tree. You see that branch over on this side seems to be a little bare. I don't know what's going on there. I mowed in the area where there's a lot of stinging nettles, and when I do that, I just use it as mulch around the trees, right? Once again, around that Romeo cherry. Oh, there he is. I don't know, but that might be a balsam. I gotta let it grow. I think that is too. I think that's a balsam poplar. There's a lot of fruit growing on the golden raspberry. They're just still all green yet. And so, as you know, I got the 2 black currants. Now I think it was on this tree. They're starting to get a little spongy. It seems like this one is getting ripe faster than the other one. Now these, of course, they're still green, right? Because they're gooseberries. It'll be a while yet before they're... And that is the other thing about these. See, like I say, I was giving them as all currants, but gooseberries, they start out green and they don't turn black until they're, or turn or whatever color they're supposed to, until they're actually ripening up. And this one as well as berries on it. One bush is doing better than the other, but I mean, that's the way plants go. Asparagus do quite well despite all the competition with the other vegetation that it's having. Now, if you watched the videos for a while, you probably remember me mentioning that I did have a pair of long cuff gloves, but just recently I ordered a pair of pruning gloves. So they're the ones to use for rose bushes and seaberry and that kind of thing, stuff with a lot of thorns. And the cuffs comes right up to your elbows. But this is what I bought it for. Once I get them, I can go gangbusters on pulling up stinging nettles, right? And in my experience, that's the best way to deal with stinging nettles, is wait till they get high enough that you can get a good grip on them and just pull them up. And if you pull them up straight, you usually get a bit of root with them, and they can keep them somewhat under control. But they are good, you see. Because they are nutritious, they also make a good compost tea. So if I wait for, in places I can, wait for them to grow up like that, I can strip the leaves and the seeds into a bucket or barrel of water and make a compost tea. And then the stalk, as I've mentioned before, is a fiber thing which I would like to make some string of during the winter. And that's just one thing that's on my mind that may or may not come to fruition. Now, as for down here, this is the, what were these? Black fish goo. Now, I don't know. See, it looks like there's a flower starting right there. And right there. Let's inspect this one over here. Yeah. That's going to flower soon. So maybe it's a bush variety. Like sometimes you see a squash, and we're so used to the pumpkins that has this big long vining branch. Is like, well, is anything going to come of that? But when you get into these bush variety of squash, the plant doesn't grow really all that big. It's, I mean, 3-foot circle at the biggest it'll go. Now this is the black Jahardale that I planted in the last planting video. They're coming along now. You notice it doesn't have to get very warm for them to start to droop, but it gets up to like the high 20s, 30 degrees, and they'll be all droop right over. You swear they're going to die. But sun goes down, they perk right up again. Now this is the first Jahardale pumpkins that I planted, and I was inspecting them and did find it has put out several male flowers, and you see there's a whole bunch of male flowers there ready to open up, or ready to come to opening. Seems like they're putting the male flowers a lot in around near the center, but there's our first female flower there. So it's July the 22nd, I think. So tons of time for me to get Jahardale pumpkin off of that. The potatoes is growing in here, is growing well. And this, well, this is up almost up to my chest. There's dillweed here. So this is lovely actually. I'll have dillweed, and you take the seeds. I could bring the seeds inside and then just sprinkle them around in really early spring, or I can sprinkle them around in fall, and what comes up next year comes up. These cucumbers here, they are growing, the plants are growing like crazy. Now this is Marketmore, I believe. I haven't seen any fruit set yet, but a lot of flowers. Now I did see a female flower yesterday here somewhere. I'm not laying eyes on it right now, but it'll be setting fruit any day now. The potatoes, I've had potatoes flowering now for like a week. I got slugs in on that cabbage plant that I put there. That's the one Jahardale. Oh, over here. My shadow is going in the way, but that's okay. You'll see it. You see? Looks like it's been pollinated and growing. But this no, this is the cucumber. See, there's another female flower right there. And another two down there. So this is probably producing. But this one, see, it's starting to put out male flowers here. So this is the other Jahardale, the latest of the set that I planted. I might get some yellow straight neck, but I only got the one plant. I mean, there's this plant, but that's not going to come to anything. And the cucumbers down here, the leaves are really a lot lighter, which I don't know why, but I'm thinking that it's been quite some time since I mulched those up there, and these down here, due to the fact that I was going to be taking up some other the cabbage plants, then I didn't have this bed mulched, and maybe that was the reason. Now, look at that. They're coming back, but I did do some video, so I will insert that here as to what I found, and it was a moose that did it. July the 17th, I came out this morning, and look what I found. And there's one laying on the ground over there, but I replanted this one. He was sitting way over there, and then afterwards I realized this one. And so I wondered what did it, and I thought the cat first, but then I looked again, and that's no cat. My guess is a moose. Must have walked by here last night and chomped off the top of every one of the cabbages. Except for now, you see those over there, but they are sitting right around the potatoes and the cucumbers, which the moose don't like. If this had been a full bed of brassicas, he would have walked right up there and ate the works. Yep, it was a moose. There's the evidence right there. One hoof print there, and another hoof print there. Right in my onion bed, which is doubly unhappy. And I don't know if it was a moose or what it was, but it pulled up one of the onions. Something did. And it also bit the top off that one. Damn it. Moose problems. And once again, my beets. So it walked right down through the garden. Which path did it take? And you see, it's got that mess done there. It came up through there somewhere and just poked in, took a taste of some of the things in the garden there. And then went over there and ate those brassicas. Okay, so once again, this is autumn butternut. I think there's a female flower on these somewhere. Yeah, there's a female flower starting down right there. So, it's highly possible there's a whole bunch of male flower buds that I'm going to get a couple of autumn butternut plants here. I don't know about the two that's in here. Of course, lemon balm's growing well, kale's growing well. The moose didn't come in here, so these transplants that I put in here, so now this is all the transplants that I put in from outside when I took those up outside, and they seem to be doing okay. Of course there's holes in them because slugs, looks like slugs, might be caterpillars, not sure. Did I kill it? not so sure, but I did see something growing right there, and looks like maybe a slug took it. So I don't know. Anyway, I got that other one to go here, so there'll be at least two that is growing just perfectly fine here if they don't die back to the ground in the winter. And lettuce is going well. I'm going to put some lettuce starts in the house and then bring them out and put them along here, I think. So this is the first, they're just starting to open their flowers now. That's tiger's eye bean. And the potatoes, like I say, there's not lots of them flowering. And you see, once again, you get this. Now I have some of the spaces in this bed. I don't know why the spaces are there, but this next bed up, you see how they're less outside, and then where I put that compost on the inside, because I couldn't go down, I had to build the bed up. They're doing much better. But according to the plants on top, they seem to be doing good. Just that everything is flowering, and I'm just wondering why everything is flowering so early with respect to the tomatoes, the potatoes. I went around and I trimmed. Actually, it's the second time that I actually had to cut around the outside branches of this. This thing is humongous. All the herbs are getting really out of the way now. I got to cut them back. This sage is actually getting really big. It goes from right here and then goes all the way over around to there now. I mean, that's I'd say over 3 feet from end to end. And as well as this time, which overtook the other time I had there, this is the green lemon time, and it's a good 2.5 feet in diameter now. And of course, St. John's wort, you gotta keep pulling that back around the edge, the same as I'm going to have to do with the lovage, right? It was spread and spread and spread, I assume, as long as nothing gets in its way. Now see, I don't know, we might see, will the thickness of this green lemon thyme down below prevent the roots from going over and just swamping it. I'll keep it pulled back anyway, so we'll probably never find that out. That's a white lavender right there, and of course the chives down right there. I definitely need those pruning gloves, you see. I mean, the area that had so many stinging nettles in, that was this area right here that I mentioned. These are the red raspberries, and they're not ripened yet, they're still white. You see, before I go to pick raspberries, there's a white raspberry. I have to come by and pull up all these stinging nettles. The estimated delivery time for my gloves was sometime this week, so yep, they're getting ripe. There's more over here. rhubarb is starting to fade, and it's probably due to the hot, dry weather. And well, we'll deal with them and we'll see. You see, if you transplant your plants without disturbing the roots, and the ground is a bit moist at all, then they don't really get any transplant shock. So that's the basil I put there. Hopefully it'll just take right off and give me a lot of basil to dry. Black turtle is not flowering yet. Now here's an interesting thing. I don't know if it's because I got the... I'm going to go up the other side because my shadow will be in it if I go down the other side, that side. If I got the mulch on there time enough and kept the roots of the onion cooler. But none of the onions in this bed bolted. However, and I got a moose footprint down there, that's why those onions are all shaped like that. Pretty much every one in this bed did. And I thought, you know what, we picked the scapes off of garlic, saying that we'll send the energy down to the bulb. What happens if when an onion bolts, you pick the flower head off? And I think I might come out and cut down the old flower stalk thing there and use it. Those two out there, that's the ones there I missed an onion last year, and I said I'm going to let them grow to get seed. So that's fine, they can stay. But the onions below, there's not much good to them if they've bolted now. So if I keep them from flowering, will the bulb still swell up? I don't know. So I did that in this bed, same thing, right? And here's one now I got to get right there. But yeah, I was keeping the flowers off of these bolting, and we shall see. Oh, I did miss a garlic scape. Actually, I don't think that garlic scape was there when I harvested the other ones. The beets are doing well, what came up. There's quite a few in areas that didn't come up, but I got that. There are sprouted carrots in these two beds, so we'll see what we get. Some germination on the carrots, very little. I mean, this time of year with the heat and the dryness, I would expect that. Once again, as for the strawberries, well, they won't be flowering midsummer anyway. I'm not going to get any rutabaga, but I'll get a few turnip, apparently. And then I've got that other pumpkin. There's 3 plants put in there, so we'll see what shall become of them. Jacob's cattle is flowering fairly well. There, sorry for the gimbal switching around on us. And then that's red potatoes, I think I put in there. But the flowers are awful white. No, they got a purplish tint to them. Seems to be doing just well. So, as it is every year with gardening, you're going to have some disappointments and you're going to have some excitement. This year will be the year of the cucumber, I think. Looks like I'm going to get a lot of cucumbers, which I haven't been able to get in the last few years. And this year, it's going to be exciting, so I'll bring some cucumbers over to one of my aunts and we'll make up some pickles, because they can make good pickles. When I got the cucumbers before, I tried to make them, but I wasn't really successful in making good pickles. And so I go over to one of their houses and we'll make a bunch of sandwich pickles together. So I hope you enjoyed the little walkabout. And if you like to, subscribe and follow along. I shall see you in the next video.